will listen to the Sirens of Audio.
Audiophiles, g'day. My name is Dwayne and with me is Philip. G'day, Philip.
G'day, Dwayne. Great to be here again.
One of the biggest news items for Big Finish this year was that Chris Eccleston is returning to the role of the Ninth Doctor. But before that, we had an amazing series announced called Out of Time, starring David Tennant and Tom Baker.
Welcome to the Cathedral of Contemplation.
A spinning cathedral outside history itself. Layers of space-time, pockets of reality, all perfectly balanced and interconnected.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, Out of Time.
It looks like a dimension barrier failure. Normally imperceptible, but with visitors crisscrossing space and time.
Oh, sorry. Wrong chapel. I was looking for the little shop.
Fast. Temporal energy discharge. Outside the door.
What do they think is coming?
What have you got there?
Sonic's scientific instrument. I really should find a way back.
They don't give up. They're relentless. Unstoppable.
In my experience, no one's unstoppable, only ever unreasonable.
The doorway's connecting to a corridor. Time corridor.
I'd advise you to stay back.
You're very well informed. What did you say you were?
A doctor. A travelling doctor, much like yourself.
If the Daleks get in and take over the cathedral, they would have the means to appear anywhere and anywhere.
Instant Dalek invasions just add slaughter.
Scan destinations. With this device, the Daleks will win this war and all wars.
Get out of there!
Get back, Doctor! It's breaking through!
Big Finish. We love stories.
Nicely done, Doctor.
Why, thank you, Doctor. Allons-y!
It became apparent that it was Out of Time #1, and David Tennant is going to do a couple more. One with Peter Davison and one with Paul McGann. Is that right, Philip?
I thought it was Colin Baker. Peter Davison, Colin Baker.
There you go. Talking off the top of my head without researching. So the first one has come out with the 4th Doctor and the 10th Doctor. So I thought we'd do a mini episode of the Sirens of Audio to have a talk about that, get some reactions on Out of Time. Do you want me to start, Philip?
Why not? Go for it.
Well, let me tell you my personal relationship with the 10th and 4th Doctors. In the new series, the 10th Doctor is my least favourite.
Oh.
And I'm not exactly sure why that is, because I think he's fantastic as the Doctor. I say that pre-Jodie Whittaker because I would sort of rank her as a lesser favourite now. But David Tennant has always been my least favourite out of the new series. So, and Tom Baker, for a long time, was probably my least favourite Doctor. And I think that might be because when I started recording Doctor Who episodes off the TV on my beta cassettes, it was the Tom Baker era. So I watched his era so many times, perhaps I was a little bit sick of him. But more recently, I've come to appreciate Tom Baker more, especially with his work with Big Finish. Gone back to look at some of his other lesser critically acclaimed eras of the TV series, shall we say. So those two Doctors together probably haven't excited me as much as everyone else. What about you, Philip? What was your reaction to those two being paired up?
Well, it's interesting hearing you say that because I'm probably almost the total reverse. So in terms of new series Doctors, I would put David Tennant as my favourite. I mean, Christopher Eccleston was spectacular, and had he done more than one season, he would have won it. But David Tennant, I love it, and it's interesting. I'm hearing a lot of criticism of it at the moment, and it's almost been a bit of a change of feel for some fans. I'm hearing
criticism of Tennant.
Yeah, in terms of just having a go at how he's portrayed it, and being too gawky and all this. And I was thinking, at the time, there wasn't. I don't feel there's much criticism at all at the time, but I'm hearing a lot of, backdating now people's views on him, which I might be wrong, but it has felt like there's been a bit of a anti-David Tennant thing happening. I might be wrong about that, but I think David is a stunning actor. Everything I've seen him in has been amazing, and when he came to the role of the Doctor, to me he was the perfect Doctor. So in terms of his cheekiness and silliness, and his change from his righteous anger, and he could be utterly serious one moment, total clown the other. I just loved him, still do. Any David Tennant episode I'm happy to watch. In terms of classic Doctors, the Fourth Doctor, if you ask me my favourite Doctor, I always say Patrick Troughton. To me, Patrick was the best actor, and I love his stories, what we have of them. But to be honest, Tom Baker was my Doctor. He's the one I grew up with. The first episode I ever saw of Doctor Who was Tom Baker. And even though, growing up in Australia, in Sydney, Doctor Who was on every night at 6 o'clock or 6:30, depending on which it was. We just watched the fourth and the third Doctor over and over again. To me, it was always the Fourth Doctor was the Doctor. And I like going back to the John Pertwee stories, but it was always him. So to me, this is actually the pairing of the two Doctors who, to me, are the most Doctorish. So Fourth Doctor, 10th Doctor are, to me, the most Doctorish. And so I was over the moon to have these two together. I think it's one of the things that Lockdown has achieved, is the ability for Big Finish to get, particularly someone like David Tennant, who is a very busy actor most of the time. Suddenly he's available to do at-home recordings. And so, they saw this opportunity come up, and they grabbed it with both hands and ran with it.
Yeah, so it was basically Lockdown that prompted this release to happen. I mean, it was written a lot earlier, and David Tennant had agreed to it, but because he was so busy, it was. So thank you, COVID. Thank you very much for giving us out of time.
And once again, I think because David was suddenly available, the intention was just to do this one as a one-off, but they decided that if David was available, they're going to start pairing him with some other Doctors too. And of course, Peter Davison's the natural, that's his the father-in-law, so it was natural to put him with his father-in-law for a story. And I'm pretty sure it's Colin Baker. You've got me worried now. I can't see. I'm trying to see on the website, but I'm pretty sure Colin Baker is the next one that he's doing a story with.
So in terms of this particular story, written by Matt Fitton, always a good go-to guy for Big Finish these days. He's got a huge back catalogue with them now. And but possibly surprising that Nicholas Briggs himself didn't write this one, but he does so much other work, he's got to pass it on sometimes. But what is your thoughts, or what are your thoughts on the story?
The story is fine. I mean, it's nothing out of this world. It's not going to be one of the stories that people aren't tuning in for the story. Let's be honest. People are tuning in to see the Fourth Doctor and the 10th Doctor interrelate with each other. So I think that's why people want to buy this. The setting, I thought, there's this cathedral in space that has corridors that touch different periods of time. I thought that was a very clever concept. It managed to maintain scale while being still quite a small cast. And the Daleks attacking, base under siege, all of that's been done several times before. It's done. I mean, I guess like all the base under siege stories, as much as there's a similarity between them all, it's all about the finesse of how you pull it off. And I do think Matt Fitton has pulled the finesse off really quite well. But and he's managed to give both Doctors things to do. The Daleks are the reliable self in terms of making a pretty stupid mistake the moment they first arrive. But seeing the 10th Doctor and the 4th Doctor work out how to escape from them is great. But yeah, what did you think about the story?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Also, Daleks don't overly excite me either. I think they're overdone. However, that's what most people want, so I'm in the minority. But that's okay. I still enjoy the Daleks, and I enjoyed the story. The one thing I'm not sure how it was recorded. I know it was recorded in 2 separate blocks, so I don't know whether David and Tom recorded their parts together, but it did sound to me like Tom's lines were coming out a little bit slowly. I don't know if you got a sense of that, but I could ask you that question. Did you feel that Tom's lines were delivered a little bit more slowly than the pace felt it should be?
Well, I can't say I actually particularly noticed that. So I
might be being too picky.
Well, I don't know. I thought Tom's scenes. I'm trying to think who it was. With the character was. I think it was Jorah, was her name. So when he first starts up, there's a young woman who he's sort of been paired up with when this episode starts, and I thought their scenes together were particularly good. And then when David Tennant comes into that interaction, I thought that was the way they bounced off each other there worked really well. So I hadn't noticed that. I wonder, is that because Tom was just out of sync, or was it the sound design issue? Howard Carter did the sound design, and usually, him and his music, sound design, are usually pretty good. So I do wonder
the music. It was great sound design. Yeah, I've got to agree with it.
I don't know whether recording by Zoom has an effect, but we have seen Tom do an earlier release earlier this year with Louise Jamison, which I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But
Shadow of the Sun.
Shadow of the Sun, first one done in lockdown, and there was nothing wrong with that in terms of timing. That was very tight. But we do know that Tom and Louise did do all their recording together. So it'd be curious to know. Yeah, I'd love to know how some of these are put together in terms of how they work, because the
extras didn't indicate whether they recorded together. It just said some of the cast recorded together, some didn't. But I just thought, I don't think Tom was there, because he just didn't seem to be bouncing as much as I would have expected if those two were actually bouncing off each other. So that's just I could be completely wrong. Could be.
It's hard to know in terms of Tom, because Tom never reacts well to other doctors. I think he still believes he is the Doctor and really the only Doctor, and he rarely accepted coming back. So he refused to come back for the 5 Doctors. For the Dimensions in Time, he agreed to do something in studio, but wouldn't connect with any other actors. So I do think he still has a view of him as the Doctor, which is, he's the one. So I don't know whether he would easily have worked with David Tennant or not. I don't know who you'd ask. Hopefully sometime we'll find out. But it was interesting that a few things I've read is that Tom didn't want to soften his lines down, because apparently it matched with a number of fairly strong jibes that the 4th Doctor made at the 10th Doctor, which I actually suspect may have been good. I think one of the things that I love about the multi-Doctor stories is when the Doctors have a go at each other. The 3rd and the 2nd Doctor always have a go at each other. I think that's part of the fun. And I don't know how much of the fun stuff Tom took out, but I know Tom didn't want to be seen to be too nasty. And I said that's once again, he's very protective over his Doctor and very protective over how people view him.
Yeah, but apart from that, I enjoyed the production. I enjoyed some of the lines, particularly when they started referring to the Dalek Supreme. For some reason, I started thinking extra lines in my head, like that they could have used as jokes. Like the Dalek Supreme, okay, if he had pineapple, he could be a Dalek Super Supreme. And they I actually had a pizza joke in there a little bit later after I thought of that. So it's interesting the way maybe Matt Fitton and I think along similar lines. Who knows? But what really grabbed me about this story was the final sort of 5 or 10 minutes. The interaction between Tom Baker and David Tennant was just beautiful. And it didn't really sort of kick in for me until that last bit. And that was probably my favourite part of the episode, those two talking to each other right at the end. And after that, I was totally satisfied with this release.
Yeah, well, that's it about us fanboys, is that we love it when the Doctors get together. We love it when they have their little conversations. And to me, this did tick all the boxes. I mean, Nick Briggs, he just knows how to direct his actors to get their best performances. And I think you're right. I think that particularly the ending, it made me smile. And the fact that we still have Tom Baker with us, able to record and doing what he's doing at the moment, it's just lovely. These are wonderful pieces to have. And certainly, in a few years' time, when Tom may no longer be with us, though it doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere soon, this will be one of those ones I want to go to and listen to, just to make me smile.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing I really enjoyed from the release, which is not related to the story itself, is the extras and the extended extras. So instead of listening to the normal extras at the end, I downloaded the extended ones. And some really interesting stories on there from Claire Rushbrook.
Yep.
Her time working with David Tennant on The Impossible Planet, Satan Pit. And also some stories from Nicholas Ashbury, because he worked in a Peter Capaldi episode too, playing a Zygon, that Zygon who was trying to live on Earth
with all the cornflakes stuck all over his face.
That's the one, and that was him. So he tells a few stories about that too. So definitely worth having a listen to the extended extras. So I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, I think it's a great little package, and certainly it's well worth having. I suspect it's one of the ones that every big Finish person's automatically gone out and bought, because you've got to have the 10th and 4th Doctor together.
Yeah, and after your comments, I feel really guilty for being so critical. So I'll shut up in future.
No, it's good. I mean, there's other trying to find the good things. I think actually is good for people. There's enough hate out there. There's enough negatives, and not everything's perfect. And there's certainly always things often things that can be improved on. But I like to focus on where I can, on what works and what's good.
Recently I've been reappreciating David Tennant, and particularly the Russell Davies era, a lot more than I did, because I really enjoyed the Moffat era of Doctor Who. So I kind of forgot about the Davies era for quite a long time, but I've been revisiting that a lot lately, and man, that was that. It's mentioned in the extras on this audio release that was the peak period of Doctor Who, and it kind of was, wasn't it?
I think Russell T Davies, his vision for the show and what he did was astounding. I love Matt Smith. I love Peter Capaldi. I do love the Moffat era. The first 2 seasons of Matt Smith in particular, I think are absolutely brilliant pieces of television, how they've been drawn together, the way that the stories interrelate. But in terms of just runs of classic Doctor Who, perfect Doctor Who, there's hardly a bum episode of the entire Russell T Davies. There is bum episodes, one in particular, but on the whole it is just superb. And the longest run of best Doctor Who ever is that 4th season of Russell. From the Unicorn of the Wasp all the way to Stolen Earth and Journey's End.
Journey's End. Yeah.
That is the most perfect run of Doctor Who stories, I believe, ever. There's that entire run. There's nothing in there that's not superb. the change of theme and ideas, the way the Doctor and companion relate. I don't think you can find that many stories in a run anywhere else in 40 years of Doctor Who, 50 years of Doctor Who, as good as that.
Well, what a way to end. That was our review of Out of Time. Out of Time 1. There's another couple to come, so looking forward to that. Thanks for having a quick chat with me about that film.
No, I loved it. That's my pleasure.
Beautiful. And guess what? I forgot to record